Shut it back. Words of a faint, something like a bat. Well, I want your love, call me when you can. Girl, going up.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over a Sinister Cup that we did in the Ranger lobby at in the Go Stadium Discord. So what the Ranger lobby is everyone was placed into a lobby during the first season, and we played 8 tournaments, and the top 4 competitors from those 8 tournaments moved on to a higher lobby. So everyone in this lobby finished top 4 in their respective other previous lobbies. So first match here, we're going against Blugo, and actually he is the person who won in my lobby last season. We got 2nd place, and he's starting off with Claydol. Now Claydol is going to be really good against our team in general, just because of the earth power, but we had a really good lead here in Dusclops, and he brings in Driftblim, and I look at the rest of my team and I'm like, well, Dusclops is going to be the best thing against Driftblim, so I'm just going to stay in this matchup. It also means he probably has a fighter in the back, just because he's switching into a neutral matchup versus a good matchup. But then again, he might think Dusclops or Driftblim is just a safe swap in general, which it kind of is. It does get walled by things, but in the one shield scenario, we end up taking it out, and he brings in a Lowland Marowak and takes out our Dusclops. So actually, this is really not good for us. We do bring in our Poliwrath, and he swaps into Claydol. We swap instantly into Lugia. These two not really going to hurt each other too much. Lugia does have Hydro Pump, so if we ever make it to that Hydro Pump, we're definitely going to use it and hope he doesn't shield. If he doesn't shield, Water's going to be super effective against the ground typing of Claydol, which it does go through there. So against this Marowak, we're going to go for the Sky Attack, just because we don't think we're going to make it to a Hydro Pump, which is what happened. And we probably should just Dynamic Punch on this Poliwrath. I believe I'm going to shield here. Oh no, we actually called a bluff. Well, I'm pretty impressed at that play, and I'm just sorry. Alright, so we're just going to try to get to the second Dynamic Punch. We're definitely going to block anything coming through now because we're at the last little bit of our life, and he can't go Bone Club and Shadow Ball. There just hasn't been enough fast attacks in this matchup for him to do that. So we end up taking Game 1 here, and we come into Game 2, and I decide to bring in Mawile. The reason I did this was because he went double Ghost last time along with Claydol, and Mawile is good against all 3 of those. So I suspect he's going to change something up, but I also think that he's going to have a similar team, so maybe 2 of the 3 will be the same. And he actually does bring in Onyx this time, so he does change it up. So my first thought here is that I believe Marowak, Lowland Marowak, is in the back. Sorry about that phone. And which is fine for us because Mawile can beat a Lowland Marowak, but we'll probably throw in Poliwrath if he does bring in a Lowland Marowak, just because since ours is the Mudshot version, we're going to be able to get to 2 Hydro Pumps if we actually end up in that matchup. And we get taken out with the Dusclops, and we have a shield advantage, so I decide to shield here and just try to farm as much as I can on this Steelix. And we don't go for the full Dynamic Punch, but it still takes him out. And then once he swaps into Claydol, we swap in him a while, and the fact that he didn't swap out instantly did lead me to continue to believe that a Lowland Marowak would be the one in the back. And now that we have Mawile out there with a power-up punch, we're going to shield anything that comes out of the Marowak right here and just go for the auto attacks because we think we can bring him the fast attacks just so we can bring him down. And we do get taken out at the same time. He now is in the shield lead, plus if he has Psyshock or Psychic, yeah, Psychic is going to instantly take out our Poliwrath. Alright, so he's led Claydol both games, and I think our safest lead here is Dusclops, but now that he's shown he's going to play 2, or a Ghost and Claydol every time, possibly 2 Claydols, or 2 Ghosts, we're going to want Bastodon in the back. And I think in all of the Sinister Cups that I used Bastodon in, I was really impressed. I think Bastodon was an amazing choice. I think he got scared off with all of the bubble Poliwraths and the power-up punches from Medicham and Poliwrath. But since all the shake-up with power-up punch getting nerfed, a lot of people moved not necessarily away from it, but it was less prevalent. So Bastiodon actually, I think, grew in such popularity. He does lose to the Steelix matchup as well, which is obviously going to be used by most teams. But I think Bastiodon was really my MVP of my entire Sinister Cup, actually. And I don't think I had him on my first team, so that's why I didn't do well with that one, I think. So we come into this Claydol matchup with Dusclops, and I get out of it for Bastiodon, even though Bastiodon's going to be bad against the Earth powers, just because Bastiodon's even worse against Steelix, I believe, than Dusclops. So I kind of want to expend Bastiodon against the Claydol matchup, try to take out all the resources, aka the shields, and then have Dusclops just try to farm down the Claydol, since he'll have used most of his energy on the Bastiodon. And now I have the shield advantage as well, plus I was able to gain 2 to 3 hits extra on the Dusclops for this matchup. And I'm going to shield this, because Crunch is still going to kill us at this HP, and I'm just going to try to Fire Punch him down. And he's really low here, but we would have gotten to a Shadow Punch as well. That was probably really close. Yeah, so we take Game 1, or Series 1, whatever you want to call it, and we go up against Mudkips, and his team is really scary for us. Yeah, we get trapped in here. So we start with a bad lead, Poliwrath versus Medicham, and we swap into Dusclops, hoping that this would be a safe swap for us. But he actually has Bastiodon in the back, which is going to really just take us down, farm us for everything that we've got. So this is a really bad matchup. And we're just going to Fire Punch as much as we can, but all he's doing is farming so that he can get into the next matchup with a bunch of HP. A bunch of energy to use an extra move on probably the Poliwrath, which is what I would want to bring in. So yeah, he's going to have this move. But luckily, Bastiodon's moves don't really do a whole bunch against Poliwrath, so we're just going to take anything he throws out. And we believe this could be a Psychic, but he actually baits us with a Power-Up Punch. So we're doing quite bad here. But now we do have the swap advantage since he did switch in to the Medicham. And we're just going to try to farm up as much energy as we can. He does have the Ice Punch variant, so that's not great for us. And we're going to Sky Attack to try to take out the Medicham. And he brings back in the Bastiodon. We're going to go for the Sky Attack, hoping that this takes it out. It is really low. And it does not take him out. So that's not great for us. But we do have this Poliwrath, but he's got his own Poliwrath in the back, and he's up a shield. So he's going to just use them liberally. I mean, we did have a huge energy advantage, so we are going to take out one shield and take out both shields here. But, so, we actually end up not shielding there. Oh, well. But he's got too much HP, right? No matter what he throws out here, we're going to have to shield, and we're somehow going to have to make it to a Dynamic Punch, which we actually almost do. So if we had shielded that Ice Punch, I'm not sure why we didn't shield it, but if we had shielded that, we actually would have done really well. So I swap out Lugia for Bastiodon, and I keep my lead and Dusclops in the same positions. I still want Dusclops as that safe swap, and he actually starts Cresselia here. And I talked to him afterwards. I was so, I guess, impressed that he had the guts to start the Cresselia, but he told me his reasoning, and it made a lot of sense. He definitely thought I was going to run the Dusclops in the back as a safe swap, so he decided that Cresselia in the front was going to be a really safe lead, which makes sense. So definitely switch up your leads in your games, otherwise people are going to be able to call what you're trying to do. And this player, obviously very good, Mudkipped. And yeah, he's able to call us on what we're starting, and that's really going to put us in a really bad position. And I end up swapping into Bastiodon. We go into the Bastiodon mirror match, and I'm looking to switch, but we do not get it in time. But I decide not to shield on this Dusclops. I noticed in this game, or in this series versus Mudkipped, is that neither of us really like to use our shields. We really like to hold them for as long as possible, which I believe is the correct way to play this game. But it's interesting to see someone else thinking that as well, using your shield as sparingly as possible, or sparingly. So yeah, we go into this Marowak matchup, and all we need to do is not get Shadow Balled. Easier said than done, right? And he comes in with Cresselia. Luckily, we have enough for a Shadow Punch here. But we are about to get taken out, so I think I just get taken out there. But we have Bastiodon in the back here, which is pretty good. But I believe the Bastiodon's super low. And we do have a shield here, and we do not use it for some reason. And we bring in the Bastiodon, but we're super low in the back as well. So I definitely should have used the shield, obviously, on the Poliwrath. I think I either misjudged how much life Bastiodon had in the back, and I wanted to use a shield on him, but it didn't matter at all. Or, and this is probably more likely, I think that I either got tilted or something like that, like my mind wasn't in the right place in this game. I don't know. Something like that happened. I will say, after our first weighted cup, my mental was not in the best place. I couldn't believe that I did so bad in that first weighted cup. But no excuses here. Like, I definitely should have shielded there. I think if I shield there, I end up throwing a Hydro Pump. He has to shield, and then I have Bastiodon on the back with a Stone Edge, which would take out the Cresselia. So we decided to switch our matchup up, and he switches again. He gets the lead on us. Bastiodon against Dusclops, so we swap into Medicham. And, oh no, we swapped into Bastiodon, and he took out the Bastiodon, I see. And then we bring back in Dusclops versus the Medicham, and we just farm it down. We have a lot of energy going into this next matchup. And he has the Cresselia still in the back. So it's not looking good for us. We'd somehow have to beat the Cresselia with our Dusclops and beat the Bastiodon with our Dusclops, since we're already on the switch timer. So he actually goes Aura Beam there. I think he's trying to farm us down to hold enough energy for the next matchup to take our shield and then just switch into Bastiodon and take us out. Which is really good play by him. He's still got 2 shields, so not looking great for us here. We do have a Shadow Punch ready, but oh well, if I was him, I probably wouldn't shield and just go straight into this Bastiodon matchup. Yeah, see, he has enough energy probably for this Moonblast. Oh, he goes Aura Beam. And we go into the Bastiodon matchup. It's already a bad matchup, and he has energy, and he has 2 shields. So yeah, we throw out the Fire Punch here at the end, but we don't have a chance here. So we're 1-1 so far in this tournament. It's a 5-round series, and we go up against Anistropic 1, and he starts out with an Empoleon, and I did not know that matchup that well, but I was pretty sure that I did not win that with Dusclops, and I go ahead and bring in Medicham against looks like this Drifblim, and I'm fine just getting taken out here. Oh no, it looks like I shield it. So I do shield it to try to go for this Psychic to see if I can do a ton of damage to the Drifblim. And we do get it off. It's about 55-60% damage. And I think he's going to take us out here, and we'll probably swap back into the Dusclops. Oh no, we actually survive and end up throwing up a Power-Up Punch. But that's not going to do very much. But we are going to be able to bring in the Dusclops, gain a little bit of an energy advantage, so even if he brings back in this Empoleon, now we have moves. And I decide to swap anyways into the Lugia. And I know Empoleon has Hydro Pump, but I didn't realize it also had Flash Cannon. So we end up blocking the Flash Cannon, and I just try to farm up as much as I can. I am trying to get to this last matchup because I think he might be bringing a fighter in that matchup, and if he does, I want Lugia to be in that matchup. But since his only fighter is Medicham anyways, Dusclops is fine if Lugia gets taken out here. Plus, Dusclops still has about 5 energy worth of fast attacks, 6, 7, so we almost have 2 Shadow Punches here. And that's really good for us. Yeah, we did call it. It is a Medicham in the back. Now, we do have a long way to go in this matchup, but we almost get to the 3rd Shadow Punch here, and you see I hold it. I've talked about that on a lot of videos. I want to make sure that I get the very last hit in of fast attacks. That way, if when we throw the fast attack, and if he survived, we wouldn't... Well, if he survives, he'll get an extra fast attack in, and we don't want that to happen. So we make sure that we go for the exact kill on our opponent with our charge attack. So he starts Empoleon again, and we keep Lugia in, or we bring Lugia in, and he keeps Empoleon in, which makes me think that that matchup must be good. Although he probably just wanted to get to a fast attack, it looks like, and then, a charge attack, and then swap out into a good matchup for himself. And we don't have anything that's really good against Steelix here, so this is rough. We end up swapping back into Mawile, just because Mawile's going to have such a bad matchup against Empoleon that we'd rather have this bad matchup now than a matchup where Empoleon's going to be able to farm us down with fast attacks and then get the free charge attack off. So if you notice, we've already used both of our shields and our opponent has not used any of their shields. That's not great for us. It means that we've put ourselves in really bad matchups, but luckily this Mawile has done a ton of work with its fast attacks. It's actually taken out 2 Pokemon and half of the 3rd. And we bring in Lugia to try to just take this last shield so that our Dusclops can come into this matchup in a fairly neutral matchup and probably get the Shadow Punch off first, right? Before the Ominous Wind, and all we're hoping is just no boost, and yeah. We just take out this Drifloon with the Dusclops. So our Mawile actually did a ton of work. I will say, I didn't really like Mawile a lot on this team in general, but, you know, you can't deny how much work it's actually doing. And he led Empoleon for the 3rd time here. I guess I just never learned and never led a Medicham. So on this Medicham, we have Psychic, and we're going to throw out the Psychic right now. And we're just going to let this go down, although I think this is probably an Ominous Wind, which we would survive. Yeah, it looks like he's just trying to go for the boost here. And we're throwing out bait after bait, and we do get a shield off right there, right before going out. So Medicham gets taken out, but, you know, he did pretty good work. Both of the... So we're going to shield this and just try to get to a power-up punch for the Empoleon matchup. But yeah, Medicham did a lot of work. He was able to get the shield from a bad matchup, so that's obviously the best you can hope for in a bad situation. And we actually get to 2 power-up punches versus the Steelix, so our bites are going to be doing incredible damage. We do have low HP, but it means he can't just farm us down. And I think I might use the shield here. No, I don't. Okay, so I keep my shield for my Dusclops, which is going to have the ability to get to 2 fire punches before the Steelix gets to 3 crunches, which might be what takes us out, the 3rd crunch. So here's the 2nd crunch. It probably is going to do 40%, 35, yeah. So we definitely would get taken out by another crunch. So we go for the bait here. He doesn't fall for it, so we go for a 2nd bait because he has a shield. So we would need to get to a 3rd Shadow Punch, which we do. I don't know how we made it to that. That might have been a CMP tie. That was really close. Maybe we were up by 1 fast attack. So we take the 3rd game. We're 2-1. And now we're going up against 3 leaders. Every time I see this guy's name, I think 3 eliters. But I think it's 3 leaders. I mean, that's obviously what it spells. And my eyes just trick me. But we start Medicham here into the Cresselia. Really bad matchup. We go into our safe swap of Dusclops. And actually, if you go watch Arrow's 6-0 run, you'll notice that Cresselia actually beats Dusclops, especially with an energy lead like that, which I didn't know, and I think most people don't know. So maybe he could have stayed in there instead of swapping out, but yeah, personal call. Plus, who knows? He might not have known that. I know I didn't. I know most people didn't. So he shields our Fire Punch here, and we're so close to another one. I wonder if I shield right here. We're super low. Yeah, we'll just get taken out. I think there's a lot of energy wasted there. We're already so low, but we would have taken out the Steelix with the Dusclops if he hadn't done that, which would have given us the switch advantage. And so our Medicham has a ton of energy. We actually swap out into Bastodon to eat this Moonblast just in time. We would have had to shield that if not. And he brings in Dusclops, which Bastodon is good against Dusclops and Cresselia now. And since we have the 2 shield advantage, we're probably just going to want to keep this Bastodon as healthy as possible and just shield everything. Yeah. It's always interesting to rewatch these videos while I'm recording the voice part of it and think of what I would do now. And when it's the same thing that I did then, it's like, okay, my mind's in the right place. I know what I'm doing. Or at least I have a plan. Whether the plan is correct or not, that's another thing. But I'm trying to swap in to take the damage on my Medicham there, but we don't get the swap off in time. And he actually brings in this Cresselia. I'm still trying to freaking swap. I can't swap. I really need to get better at the switching right there. Because I'm just trying to... What I'm trying to do is switch in at this point and use the Psychic to take out the Cresselia so that my Bastodon's still in the back to take out the Dusclops, because the Dusclops matchup against Medicham is really bad for Medicham. Although the Dusclops is pretty low here, so I think we actually... Yeah, oh, wow. Yeah, he was at like 3% HP, so... You gotta be more calm in the games. And I'm not telling y'all, I'm telling myself. Like, you gotta stop attacking to make the swap so that you don't get stuck in a bad situation like that. So we lose the lead here again. If you notice, a lot of these games in this tournament, I have lost the lead more than half the time. So that just tells you how much Sinister Cup, the lead doesn't matter as much as the previous cups. And I think actually for the Ferocious Cup, the lead's going to matter even less because of the typing. There's no like rock, paper, scissors typing in those cups. So we swap into Dusclops, our safe swap here. And he actually swaps into Dusclops, his safe swap as well. So what I'm trying to do here is actually use any number of shields that I need to win the switch advantage. And the reason we won against his Dusclops is because we were first to switch, so we had an energy advantage. Which, when you're going into a mirror matchup, the person with the energy advantage is going to always have priority. It's almost like the charge move priority just because you're already 2 attacks ahead. 2 fast attacks ahead. So he brings in Marowak, takes out our Dusclops, and we bring in Bastodon, which is a hard counter to Marowak. And the second he brings in Medicham, we go for the Flamethrower. Flamethrower is going to be doing more damage than Stone Edge against Medicham. So the reason I know that is because someone used it against me, or I saw it on a VOD somewhere. Yeah, something like that. And then we come into the mirror match here, and we're just trying to bait shields. He doesn't go for it, so now I'm subjected to just going power-up punches because I can't afford to use a Psychic and it get blocked. So he actually shielded. There was a glitch there, so he didn't see it, but he actually did use that last shield on our power-up punch. And he's going to take out our Medicham here, but... Oh no, we live. Okay, perfect. So we just throw out a last second power-up punch before this Medicham goes down. And I think we actually end up swapping and not letting our Medicham go down. We don't want to get that extra farm, even though he was going out anyways. Because what if he was 1 attack away on that Medicham, attacks the Medicham, or from Shadow Ball, attacks the Medicham, takes him out, and then Shadow Balls our Bastiodon. That would really suck. So if it's down to their last Pokemon and you know you have a counter in the back, swap in as soon as possible. So that you can take it out. So we have Dusclops here against Marowak. And this is game 3. And yeah, he Shadow Balls us. That's what happens when you don't call the bluff, right? You can get one-shot. So really bad for us. Luckily we have Bastodon here in the back, so we end up taking out Marowak. But we lost a Pokemon for free up front. I mean, sure, it costs energy and all that, but really bad. So I think I'm going to throw the Flamethrower out here and then swap into Poliwrath. Try to gain an energy advantage into this last matchup, possibly. Which is going to be against Dusclops. And we go for the Hydro Pump. He calls our bluff, if you want to call it that. But we have so many shields also, and he's not going to take us out with any one move here. So we're just going to go for another Hydro Pump. I think we'll shield this. Oh, we don't. Oh, I guess we live. Yeah, we live with a decent amount of health. So we go for another Hydro Pump here. We really want to get to the Steelix matchup with this Poliwrath if we can. Oh, and I tried to swap out into Bastiodon to take this hit, but we did not get it in time. I do have 2 shields to his 1 shield, so we're going to have to watch out for the crunches, but I know for a fact he doesn't have enough for an Earthquake right here, so I decide not to shield, which is a crazy call. But if you know he doesn't have enough for the Earthquake, you don't have to, there's no shield bait or anything. You just have to stay strong and believe in what you've counted. So we end up taking that shield out with a Flamethrower, and now we're shielding anything, even though this is probably a crunch. Yeah, because we just want to get to this Flamethrower right here, and we'll take him out. So now we're 3-1 in this tournament. We come into the final round against Francio Ocidato. And we start with Dusclops against his Marowak. And we're fine with this matchup that's just happened in the previous clip there. And I think I'm thinking just don't get Shadow Balled. So I think I am going to shield here. Yeah, we got 2 messed up from the last matchup, and luckily we call a Shadow Ball. So that's actually one thing I really hated about this cup. I think that this cup was way too charge move bait priority, or whatever you want to call it, like too baity, because I don't know how much skill it really showed, but like it's almost just 50-50s. Do you know your opponent? Do you think they're going to shield if you do this? Or vice versa as well. Are you going to shield based on how good you think your opponent is? Are they trying to play you? All of that. There is technically an element of, do you know them well? Can you predict what they're doing? But I think at the end of the day it was 50-50, and I think a lot of tournaments in the Sinister Cup felt 50-50. Like, if you called everything right during the day, like on that day, boom, you won everything. Maybe you're 5-0. Maybe you're 6-0, maybe whatever. Yeah. So I didn't really like that. It was too baity and too random, but to each their own. It was a unique cup. I really liked the theme in general. Sorry, we talked during that whole game. So, we get taken out in that first game, so we're starting this last round really bad, and we come in with Medicham versus the Marowak, and I get a few hits in there because Fire Spin's actually not going to be doing a ton of damage to us, and I think we shield here. No, we don't. It's Bone Club. Okay. We called the bluff. See, random. That could have been a Shadow Ball, and we just lose this matchup straight up. So he brings in Poliwrath. This is pretty neutral matchup, especially if he doesn't have like Hydro Pump, which I think he's got Ice Beam, if I remember. He's definitely got Bubble, and I have 2 shields, so I might use one here just because. No, he's got Power Up Punch. Oh, I think I use a shield here and get baited on a second Power Up Punch, if I remember. Yep. So we go for the Shadow Punch here. I don't think it would have taken him out, so weird shield there. Now, this one I think does take him out, so I think he used a weird shield and lost the Pokemon for no reason there. And we end up taking that matchup and coming into the Haunter. So the Haunter, if you notice in the last matchup, actually swept our team. So we brought in Bastiodon to take on the Haunter because we don't care if we get Shadow Balled on our Bastiodon. It's only going to do about 40%. And then he brings in Marowak here, which is obviously a good matchup for the Bastiodon. And I go for this Stone Edge because I just want the shields to be used. And I'm probably going to shield this no matter what. It's probably Bone Club, which is still super effective. And he has a second Bone Club. I think we will survive this. Yeah. and we're just going to auto him down. We bring in the Medicham to take out on the last Bone Club here, so really good switch in by us, and his energy is going to be used up. And we thought we could just auto it down, but we have a ton of energy. We just need to use the Psychic on the Haunter, which we have enough exactly to take him out here. So it's going to be super effective against Haunter because he's got that poison typing, which Psychic is good against, super effective against. Whereas the other ghosts don't have that weakness. But Haunter, obviously a really good choice. You saw in that first matchup, it really wiped our whole team pretty much. And Haunter, on his team, he keeps starting the same Pokemon, Marowak, and he's always got Haunter in the back. And I think that's because Haunter's really insane against our team. Mawile's good against it, and Bastion's good against it, but it's also scary for us to bring those two Pokemon in against his team because Alolan Marowak has Fire Spin, he's got two fighters, it's rough. So we actually end up using both shields, and he actually calls us on both Hydro Pumps. And then I decided I'm just going to get out of there, and I'm going to swap into this Bastiodon. And he actually bring in Steelix in this game, which is okay. So all shields are gone from the first matchup. We both just nuked each other's shields out of the water and then swapped out. So I've given him the switch advantage, but he must not have a fighter in the back, and I just assume he has Haunter in the back because it's so good against us. And he probably just wants to win this matchup with the Steelix because he knows Haunter's in the back. And since he has the Steelix out here and he just used a charge move, or he's using a charge move right here, I know that I can just farm him down even with mud shots, but then I think I get super scared. Yeah, I get super scared right here and end up using Dynamic Punch. I think that was a really bad choice. And then I'm thinking I just need to swap out into Dusclops real fast. I believe that he uses Shadow Ball here. I don't know if he needed that, but we're really close to another charge attack. It would have probably taken out the Marowak there. But what it ends up doing is giving us a lot of time to farm it down and then gain enough energy to go for these two Shadow Punches, or this Shadow Punch. Then we auto this Haunter down, and we have the Shadow Punch for the Marowak at the end. I did talk to him after this match. He said he probably shouldn't have used the Shadow Ball, and because it gave us way too much time to farm up energy on the Dusclops to end up taking out both ghosts at the end. Also, I think it was a CMP tie against his Marowak for another Bone Club versus our Shadow Punch. So, I don't know. That match was really random. We got super lucky to win it, beyond lucky, the game mechanics, the switch-ins, all of that. But we ended up going 4-1 in our first tournament in the Ranger lobby, and actually the person who beat us, Mudkipped AZ, he actually ended up winning the tournament 5-0. He's a really good player, obviously. He's got a lot of thought process going behind his picks. So in the next tournament, I'm really going to have to try a little harder. I think that, like I said before, I'm not sure how right my mind was for Sinister Cup after taking such devastating loss near the beginning of the season. But as it progressed, I did get a lot better. We did a lot better. I will do better in Ferocious Cup. I promise y'all that. I'm practicing as much as I can. I will get out so that I can get y'all more content and help you all pick better things. As far as if you're not a part of Ghost Stadium, this is how we do a lot of remote tournaments. You get into a lobby of, I think it's 18 people. You gain friendship over 30 days, and then you do 8 tournaments together where the top X amount advance to a bigger lobby, or a lobby of winners, and then the bottom X amount stay in the same tier, and then the next season they go into a lobby of the same tier again to try to get to the next tier. So we're at the Ranger tier, which is, I believe, it's the 3rd tier from the bottom. I don't know how many. I think there's one tier above us, maybe one more, maybe 2. 1 or 2. I'm not 100% sure. But if you don't have time to attend local tournaments, like a full day's worth, these are really good because you can just Usually the tournaments start around the 12th or 15th, around that time. So you have 15 days to complete your 5 rounds against people, so you can do it in your own time. Now you do have to respect the time of the other people if you need to coordinate with them, because they're all around the world and everyone has a different time zone and all that. So this video is a little long-winded. Thank you everyone for watching, and like I said, I promise you I will do better in the Ferocious Cup, and thanks again for watching.